Today is April 20th. It is Overwatch Daily number 7. Also, National High Five Day. Give me a high five. That was awkward. We're just going to go ahead and go into the game now. NRG versus BGH. This was a game that was played a couple days ago. It was a qualifying tournament, and BGH is a Brazilian team. They are they're okay. I doubt that many people know about them, but we'll see. This is Hollywood. We'll see a few interesting things about Hollywood. By the way, today I'm talking out of this microphone, which always sits here prettily but is never used because this microphone is having some malfunctions. So isn't that just a shame? So here we are, NRG versus BGH, and NRG is running their normal composition. They're a triple tank comp. They like the backlininess and the peeliness quite a bit. Hard blue, of course, on Roadhog, Diva, Reinhardt, and Soldier. Ooh, numlocked. Got a volley to the face by Colero. We didn't see that playing Zenyatta. And so, oh, my cat is jumping on me. And so let's look at this composition now. This is a more interesting composition. So we have the normal thing. Single tank. Okay, cool. Divey dive with the Tracer and the Genji. We have the Lucio. They're choosing to run the Zenyatta. And so the purpose of the Zenyatta, of course, is that you're being so aggressive that maybe they just can't kill your Zenyatta. That's the idea, is that you don't need any peel for him. What are you doing? Get away. Get away. We're doing Overwatch now. You don't need any peel for him because you're so aggressive that you can't, like, no one's going to get back there and kill him. But they do have another hero, and this is Pharah. So we see Pharah quite a bit on these very active mobile compositions. That's not too strange. Normally we see her with a Mercy, and normally we see in this place either a Diva for another tank, sometimes a Soldier. Pharah's a little bit strange. So we'll see how the Pharah sort of plays in. It's going to wind up doing very well against this NRG composition because if you see, there's no range, really. All they have is Soldier. And so once Tracer, Winston, and Genji manage to take out the Soldier, the Pharah should ideally have pretty free reign. So you see IDQD gets dove by the Tracer and the Winston and everybody, and it's a real shame. Although he managed to get away for quite a while before finally, there we go, he dies. And so now, if we freeze frame it, BGH is looking pretty strong. Because they have all their members up, NRG just lost their primary form of DPS, and they have no range. So now we have Colero, who can sling orbs from this distance. This is a good position for him. Muri's on Pharah, who can sling rockets from, well, actually, he's right here. Getting a little bit too close, but he can sling rockets from a distance. And you also have Genji, who can, of course, throw shurikens from a distance. So now BGH just needs to slow it down. And this is kind of what we will be talking about a lot in this daily. They need to slow it down and then just encroach in. Of course, make sure that IDQD can't respawn and come back. Tracer is very good at that. And they will slowly grind down NRG until they win. But they get a little bit impatient here. So if we started back up, we see that Lucio dives in a little bit too far. He gets taken out early on by Harblue on Roadhog because Roadhog is pretty good at taking out stray heroes that jump in too far. And right now they're kind of playing into the strength of NRG's composition. You see the Pharah is right here. That, like those 2 pixels you see right there? Yep, that's Pharah. Very, very far in. They dove with everybody. And so, of course, Harblue on Roadhog, Numlock's Hammer, Madukusai on Diva with those short-range cannons. The grenade from Dummy will be able to be very effective in taking out BGH's composition. So they went in a little bit too fast when they had time. They had time to work it. They had time to utilize their advantage. But we see Miri is actually going to swap off to the Soldier. I liked the Pharah. I thought that the Pharah was pretty effective if it was played properly in this particular position. But they will swap off to the Soldier, which is fair enough. It's the same idea. Same general idea. We see IDQD is changing position. This is very good, by the way. It's a very good swap of position. when you're in a position where you are the soldier, you're the one super DPS of your team, and everyone wants to kill you, staying in the same spot is usually suicide because everyone's trying to dive you. We saw he died there before, and so rotating around to this area over here is pretty effective. As you see, he doesn't die. Genji gets caught pretty early. Pulse bomb from Tracer, narrowly avoided by IDDQD's sprint. And we see a little bit of a wasted transcendence, I think, from Kolero on the Zenyatta. But NRG wasted their own barrier as well on Ajax. So overall, it's about a wash. It's not too bad from either side because both sides did it. But ideally, neither support ultimate would have had to be used there. So BGH gets pushed back again, partly because IDDQD had a good rotation. So now BGH has to find a way back there. And right now, a Pharah would be really nice because a Pharah could just sling the rockets all the way back, really harass IDDQD off of that back area. But alas, they do not have one. And so we trade up. In fact, I think that we should take a look at that one more time because that was a very early kill on Numlocked, who's way, way up here. You can see him. He's that one orange pixel there. That's him. He's a little bit far up. Gets taken out because of it. So they trade a Tracer for a Reinhardt. Blade comes out from the Genji, although good movement from Lucio prevents it from getting anything. And here BGH kills everyone. Looking very scary. They're looking very, very favored to take the point. Although Mendugasai has an ultimate, and great play by him. Look at this. This is a really good play, by the way. This is one of the things that makes Mendugasai a great player. So you see, he not only used the Diva Bomb, but he also ejected up onto the high ground. So he's completely safe to get back into the mech, come back down. And so that's a lot of time he's stalling out. And so let's talk about this situation. You're BGH. Look at their composition. Look at their composition. This is a very fragile comp. Very, very fragile composition. They have all DPS. They have a Winston who is not a very reliable barrier, and some dudes on support. It's whatever. So they need to be spreading out. They need to be going up, playing up, trying to slow down NRG. Because if NRG comes in here with their full tank, super punch you in the face, close range lineup, they will win. They will win. So BGH has to be a little bit more proactive. But because they aren't, we're going to see Numlock comes in, gets another setter off for free. Nothing that BGH could have done about it if they were sitting on the point like they were. They had no tools to prevent it. And then a simple nano boost combo from IDDQD takes them out. Probably not even necessary. But he winds up taking them out regardless quite easily. Nice helix at the end there just for that. Boom. That final little flashy play. Saved them about 4 seconds. It's all right. Get some 5% ult charge. It's the little things. The little things. So only 42 seconds remaining. Look at that hook from Harblue. Very nicely done. The ultimate, a little bit strange of an ultimate to force BGH back. I think that they would have retreated back anyway. But it is to get them back into the spawn because you see now there's a lot of pressure. But it's a little bit strange because normally you'd say, okay, so the Roadhog popped his ultimate. They pushed up. They're spawn camping BGH. And so they're trying to be aggressive and put on tempo. But they just retreat here. And so it winds up kind of being wasted in the end. At the same time, there's a Tracer on the other team. There's a Genji on the other team. So they could have just blinked past them and teleported, moved past NRG to get to the point anyway. But here we go. Dudu gets down to the point. Another just barely missed pulse bomb, rather. But NRG with some pseudo-aggression, I'm going to call it. It's not true aggression, but it is kind of aggressive. Does prevent BGH from getting a very good position, and they couldn't quite get on the point. Although if this were Selfless, for example, if Selfless were in NRG's position here on defense, they would have been pushing up way, way harder and all that. But NRG has a little bit more of a tanky composition, so it is to be a little bit more expected. By the way, do notice that Mendo switched off to Winston a couple pushes ago. I didn't say anything about that because it is just a little bit an option, but NRG has been favoring the Winston in this particular slot a little bit more often, particularly because it's very strong against this Zenyatta. because you see everyone dives in, dive, 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 dive. And normally you have no tools to actually kill the Zenyatta, so they get to have this strong pick for free, even though it's very greedy. But with the Winston can just kill him. Just kills him, not a problem. So NRG winds up full holding. Pretty swell, pretty good. So now they just have to take about a quarter. Well, remember, there's no full holding anymore. BGH took 1/3 of the point, so NRG has to take 1/3 of the point as well, or else, well, they lose. So I think that NRG's triple tank composition has actually been having a little bit of an issue lately, in that it's not as flexible as we've seen a lot of the more aggressive compositions be. But still, you can see that they do kind of push it to its flexible limits. Even though normally you'd say, oh, well, it's just triple tank. You just sit in the corner, you just whatever, you take it out, not a big deal. We are seeing interesting movements from NRG. We are seeing they're running the Winston a little bit more often now, which you never saw before in triple tank compositions. Lets them be a bit more flexible, do some more aggressive stuff that they normally wouldn't be able to do with a triple tank composition. So let's look at the flip side. BGH is now defending. NRG is attacking here on Hollywood. Look at those clouds go by. All right, we're easily distracted. Anyway, so NRG is running here on attack. Triple tank, except with a Winston. Now, Winston is good against more of the mobile comps that you see coming out of teams nowadays. You see teams running like half divey with some backline supports. Winston is good against that, like we were just talking about before. BGH, though, here is running full-on triple tank, full peel, Reinhardt, Roadhog, Zarya, with the whole thing, Anna, all that. So this Winston will probably have a pretty sad time. Because what's he going to jump into? He's just going to jump into a giant ball of tanks to his doom, pretty much. IDQD doing a little bit of pokey from the top. Actually, well, I'm not going to say it forces, but he does cause Marius to drop down over here. So, small victory. Small victory. Good shield from Numlocked also prevents it. There's no hook anymore on Harblu, and because of that, it allows Marius to get pretty aggressive, but that was a really sick right click. That was really good. So Marius sees right here, okay, the hook is used, so I can be really aggressive. Not a problem. And he walks up, and then he just gets one tapped by the right click. Pretty well done there. Like I said, Mendoxide jumps in, but he can't find anything because they're all tanks. And even though there's a very early pick onto this incredibly important soldier player on the side of BGH, NRG is still not able to push it through because of the team composition disadvantage. They have a Winston against a team composition that Winston's just really bad against. And so, of course, NRG, being as slick as they are, does understand this, and he swaps off to the Zarya. Of course, now they're just playing mirror comps, essentially. May the best team push in and win. And so on Hollywood, when you're running this triple tank composition, they're choosing to go, well, we'll see, we'll show which way they go. All right, so they go this way. Now, normally I do prefer this way because there's a little bit less distance you have to travel, but because these are the exact same team compositions, so it's not anything that's severely an issue. I would like to see what IDQD is doing back here on the camera, though, whether he's going up the stairs or around, and there we can see that he's just being normal. Not a big deal. NRG, resetting, resetting the shield, all that good stuff. Oh dear, I think I need some water. Let's drink some water. I forgot. I'm using this mic now, so the sounds are probably a little bit more intimate than usual. Let's go back to the game. All right. So, Neil. Neil here. He has Earth Shatter. That's all they have. They also have Barrier. So I lied. They have Earth Shatter and Barrier. Barrier is okay against this. Barrier is okay against Nanovisor. It's not the best. It's not really the thing that's going to make you super happy, but they have it. It's a thing. And Numlocked, of course, Hazardous Shatter. We'll have to see. It's going to be really Neil versus Numlocked to see. Numlocked goes very, very low, very, very quickly, by the way. Gives quite a bit of ult charge to Eco. He charges in. The Nanovisor, like I said before, so they already used Barrier, by the way. LMO used the Barrier on Lucio, but Barrier is just not that good against these high damage, sustained damage things like Nanovisor. And we're seeing it here. Barrier is good against bursty types of things like Blade. Genji Blade, something that's very bursty. Even that can go through the Barrier, but it's still more effective than the sustained damage like you would get from something like a Nanovisor. Great job, by the way, by Liku on Zarya. He got a good 30% ultimate charge in just that fight alone, which allowed him to use the Graviton. And because Ajax, if we go back here, poor Ajax, 98% ult charge. It's little things, little things. Hitting one more shot, hitting one more Oreo, healing one more player just a little bit, and perhaps they could have won this fight. The details matter, guys. Those little details. Jeez, I'm really coffee today. All right, so 1 minute 50 seconds left. BGH not looking the worst. Ajax has Barrier, but Colero will have a Nano boost available to boost our Zarya player, our Soldier player. So we'll have to see. I'm sure they will Barrier in. Ajax, we'll have to see the Barrier use. The Barrier usage here is very important because when you only have Barrier, you obviously have to have a good Barrier. Well, if you have Barrier, you have to have a good Barrier. We have good analysis today. It's good. We're all right. All right. But he does wind up doing a good Barrier. Look at that. He saves the Hog. Bam. No problem. And as a result, Harblue on Roadhog does all sorts of nasty things in the back, annoys people, hooks Liko, no more Zarya. Nice charge from Numlocked. And so just like that, with a well-placed sound barrier by Ajax, and Colero couldn't quite find a nano boost target. That's it. NRG winds up taking it. But it was still a relatively close match. Even though there was a full hold and then there was an almost full hold, I think that those are some matches that you can really learn a lot from because it shows the dynamics of the first point really well. We saw how certain compositions the Winston in the triple tank comp is really cool and it's good against a lot of compositions, but at the same time, it isn't necessarily good against triple tank. We also saw how Pharah could have been effective, but it was played a little bit wrong. And Hollywood is just a map, on the first point at least, that is prone to these full holds and holding for a long time because there are so many rock paper scissory elements where if you like go on the high ground but they're down here, you can't do that. Or if you take alley and they take the high ground, that's bad. And so teams, the attacking team and the defending team are constantly trying to outposition. So I really like watching the first point of Hollywood. I hope you did too. I'm going to point out one more thing that BGH did that I liked, that I didn't quite have time to talk about. So here we saw that NRG swapped off to more of a triple tanky sort of composition. And when you're up against triple tank, you don't need a peeler, really. You don't need one very much because they're not going to dive you. You need something a little bit meatier. And BGH, their solution was to swap Doo-Doo off to Tracer because they didn't really need the Roadhog anymore. Tracer, I think, is a little bit of an interesting pick because, again, it's hard to dive up against NRG with just one single Tracer by herself. I would have liked to maybe see something like, something a bit meatier. I think a little bit more DPS-y, whether it be a McCree or, God forbid, a Hanzo or potentially Pharah, all this other stuff that they could have run. Something more backline something more backliney as opposed to the Tracer. Even something like a Diva, a simple Diva would be a little bit more aggressive than the Roadhog and would let you project out a little bit more power against the triple tank composition of NRG. But anyway, guys, NRG are able to win matches. It is true. I know we've only seen NRG lose here on the dailies, but they finally won. It's cool. So congratulations to them. They did wind up qualifying indeed. I hope you enjoyed. I think I'll be playing a few games on stream today. But for those of you on YouTube, never forget to stay positive and have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, we'll call it tomorrow. 4 o'clock. Be there or be square. Or if on YouTube, usually it goes up about 7 o'clock. So whatever. I'm going. Bye.